the way that many of these folks in the Republican Party who rail against people's rights, specifically LGBTQ plus, immigrants' rights, all these people that they say they hate, because they do. Sometimes it's because they're covering up their own nefarious, disgusting behavior that they like to heap on folks of that community. Here's one guy who got busted.
We have 21 victims that we were able to identify, 62 overall. Notice was sent out to those 21 victims over the weekend by our Victim Services Unit at the U.S. Attorney's Office. The conduct found more than 200 unique, non-duplicated videos. Each one was a video recording of a child being sexually abused, infants, toddlers, the most vulnerable among us, children who are not old enough to protect themselves. We selected the 10 most deplorable videos to charge Mr. May with. Today he pleaded guilty to counts 1 through 5, which are the worst of the worst. It's a priority for the Department of Justice to protect children and take down pedophiles like Robert John May. This heartbreaking case is not victimless. These files are shared over and over again. Agents found May distributed videos like this more than 470 times in 5 days. Every download re-victimizes these children and fuels this evil industry.
So there's a U.S. Attorney, Brian Sterling, reading off some of the charges and things that they've got R.J. May III on. R.J. May III was an elected official. You guys heard some of the disgusting things he was about, but he was sharing and spreading child exploitation videos and pictures and things like that. I'm going to get to what he said he was about, but let's get to what he did. May pleaded guilty to 5 counts of distributing child sexual abuse material involving infants and toddlers. He waived his right to a trial and faces a maximum of 20 years in federal prison and a minimum of 5 years on each count, followed by at least 5 years of supervised release. So, I mean, we should probably keep an eye on this because we've seen some of these judges give lenient sentences to people that, do disgusting things. Here's more. This investigation began after the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received a tip from the messaging app Kik, which flagged videos after the user. This is that guy's username on Kik. Joe Biden, a bunch of N's, 69. And they flagged him for containing child sexual abuse. Investigators traced the account to May's home IP address and phone, discovering at least 10 child sexual abuse videos. Disgusting piece of shit. So while he was in these hearings, while he was in his appearance where he talked about and eventually, I guess, pled guilty, he was representing himself. Here's details of what happened during that hearing. He made arguments to the judge to throw out the warrant used to search his home, laptop, and mobile devices for reasons unknown. The judge had not ruled on the request before May approached prosecutors about pleading guilty on Wednesday, though. May also was trying to keep out any evidence about whether he used a fake name to travel to Colombia 3 times. Prosecutors said they found videos on his laptop of him allegedly having sex with 3 people. A U.S. Homeland Security agent testified the people appeared to be underage girls and were paid. U.S. agents have not been able to locate the people. I just want to point out some of these similarities we're seeing as far as traveling to some other country or island somewhere, paying underage girls to do things, because that's how these folks are. The louder they shout about how they're coming for all these people, but have no track record for actually coming for these folks, many times they're the folks that are doing this stuff. Here's more details about this trash-ass person. Prosecutors said that they linked May to uploading and downloading the child sexual abuse videos by showing he multitasked. This is some of the more disgusting details. He was multitasking, emailing work files, making phone calls, and performing web searches as part of his job as a political consultant as he was on Kik, asking for, quote, bad moms, bad dads, and bad pre-teens. I talked before about how you may have a job at some restaurant and you get fired for the most disruptive things to the process because you're just a worker here. But if you're an elected official and you're over here multitasking while you look for child porn, then, you may hang around a little bit longer until someone finally busts you. Here's the last bit of detail on this nasty ass. Here's the hypocrisy part. May was in his 3rd term in the South Carolina House when he was arrested. After his election in 2020, he helped create the Freedom Caucus, a group of the House's most conservative members who say mainstream Republicans in the chamber aren't the true conservative heart of their party. Well, okay. He also helped the campaigns of Republicans running against party members who were House incumbents. Here's a quote We as legislators have an obligation to ensure that our children have no harm done to them. That's what May said in January of 2024 on the State House floor during a debate on transgender care for minors. We as legislators have an obligation to ensure that our children have no harm done to them. Is he one of these legislators, or is he one of those people who says things like that and then is the one doing the harm to those children? Here's something else he said. This is from November of 2022, from November of 2022. Elon Musk, it is sorry ass. He posted on X, removing child exploitation is a priority number one. Please reply in comments if you see anything that Twitter needs to address. Very nice. So RJ May responded and said, wonder if this includes exposing children to drag shows or pushing sex changes on toddlers as maybe some of the things that need to be flagged as child exploitation. You know, drag queens, child exploitation. But RJ May, nasty some bitch, has instead been sharing those child exploitative videos and pictures and is finally busted for it. It's almost when they shout about this stuff, it's because behind the scenes, they're quietly whispering about those same things. We're seeing the people who are protecting pedophiles. It's because many times, if they haven't already participated in that activity, it's because they're living vicariously through those folks that they're looking to protect. They're like, well, he's kind of like me. There's one other politician that had to drop out of his campaign because of what they discovered about him as well, too. And it's not nearly as bad as what RJ May III was doing. But I'm going to tell you why it's still important. This guy's name is Bill Berrien. He was running for, I believe, governor up in Wisconsin. Bill Berrien is a supporter of President Donald Trump, and he ended his Republican campaign for governor on September 26, days after it was reported that he followed numerous sexually explicit accounts online, including a non-binary pornography performer. Berrien, who's a former Navy SEAL and one of 3 announced prominent Republican candidates, issued a lengthy statement saying, quote, I had no idea that running for political office could be almost as dangerous as hunting down war criminals in Bosnia. And he also went and talked about how he can no longer win the Republican primary. Here's another quote. Looking towards what is in the best interest of the party, voters, donors, and my family, I've decided to end my campaign. So Bill Berrien has ended his campaign because he followed some illicit sites. Again, bro, it's not against the law to follow some illicit sites, to check out your little porn. I mean, I guess they're eventually going down on that route. But the problem is when it's the hypocrisy behind it. This wouldn't even be something that people would have to go and search up about this guy because he followed this account and maybe a few others. But when you have your stance being, I'm going to limit people's rights, these people whose accounts I'm following and fiending after, that they shouldn't exist. They should be under more of this, more threats of violence from folks that they continue to rile up. That's where the problem is. It's your hypocrisy and the fact that you're using what you're hoping to be your next level of power to continue to suppress people's rights and their existence. There's more about this guy. He had this account on the platform Medium where he followed this non-binary porn performer, Jiz Lee, and several other authors of sexually explicit essays. He also followed publications, which are similar to blogs, that dealt with exploring sexuality, including having relationships with multiple partners. That performer that he followed, Lee, issued a statement that calling Berrien a hypocrite. Several prominent Republicans had been calling for him to drop out of the race too. And the reasons they want him to drop out of the race was not because of any kind of principles or anything, but because they're like, well, this ain't going to work. I mean, we can't continue this facade. If this guy has been discovered to be a complete and utter hypocrite, they might expose the rest of us too. So he was saying he was even more forceful in his statement dropping out of the race, describing the articles that he read and people he followed as cherry-picked. He said it was painted as a salacious and sensational picture that was clearly targeted to force me out of this governor's race. It was a major attack piece. And he goes, and for what? For reading. Nothing illegal, nothing unethical, and nothing immoral. Just reading. Wouldn't you want your political and business leaders, and all of society, frankly, to be widely read and thoughtful and aware of different perspectives and ideas? You son of a bitch. You follow somebody and support him openly. A guy who's against just reading. He said it was nothing illegal, unethical, or immoral, except you guys call these folks' existence immoral. You say anybody that supports their ability to live freely and happily without people trying to kill them every day, that they're looking to upend this country. They're destroying the family. The country can no longer survive like this. How can this work? All these hateful, rabidly bloodthirsty things that they say about folks. They say it while they're campaigning, and then they shut down that campaign and go on their computer in the dark and look at all the folks that they say shouldn't exist. It's hypocrisy, bro. So no, you shouldn't have to drop out of your race because you like to watch Jizz Lee. But when you say Jizz Lee shouldn't exist, bro, that's hypocritical. And you got booted out by the folks who are like you because they couldn't take having to deal with the fact that you guys are a bunch of hypocritical liars. That's the problem. And then maybe, we can come to this point where we're like, okay, I'll let you guys know. I'm a conservative, but I mean, I'm gay. Go ahead, bro. You can be gay. You just can't exploit children, which RJ May the Third apparently did.